welcome back to our channel. This is part 2 of our Q&A for foster care. And I'm Alana. This is my husband,
Joran. I'm allowed to speak.
And so let's get right into the rest of the questions. What is the most difficult thing about foster care? So for me, I would say the hardest part is probably just the uncertainty. Initially, when we got them, we were told that it was probably going to be 12 months to 18 months, which I think is typically what they tell foster parents in general. And based on all the experiences of all the other foster parents we know, this is like almost never the case. Usually it's a lot longer than that, which, I mean, is the case here. They're with us for 18 months now. I think we're a little bit closer to reunification, but there's still no like set timeline. We just don't know what's going to happen. And for me, that's really difficult. And I think also another difficult thing would also be managing relationships with birth parents. This isn't something that all foster parents do because I feel like a lot of them just choose to let the social worker deal with the bio parents. It's not the foster parent's job. You're not obligated if you become a foster parent to have relationships with the bio parents, but we felt like it was important for us because we see this as a ministry not only to the children, but like to the family unit. And so we thought it was really good to build relationships with the parents. And sometimes it's great and kind of like one big happy family, and other times there's certain challenges. It's difficult, but it's also rewarding to be a part of that and to see how God's going to work this out.
I would say that the most difficult part is the reality that the kids that we have in our care are in a traumatic situation. And what I mean by that is, in terms of our day-to-day, like we just live our life and we interact with all of our kids, our bio and our foster kids, as if everything's normal. Since they're so young, it's difficult to have conversations with them to be able to say, hey, you know, we're your temporary parents, and ultimately you're gonna go back to your bio parents. And so I think the thing that gets to me sometimes when I think about it is knowing that the twins are gonna go back to their birth parents, which is a good thing. The birth parents do a great job of loving them, but it's hard to process through, like, what are the twins gonna think of us in terms of, hey, where did they go? And so not really being able to have that intellectual conversation with them since they're still, 1.5 years old, to be able to explain that stuff, knowing that there will be some trauma as they kind of process through, moving to a different home, is probably the most difficult thing for me when I think about it.
And along with that, I would say that going into foster care is always about reunification with the birth parents. And even though you know that logically, in your heart, they become your children. And so to think about them leaving one day, it's really emotional for me, at least, to think about it. I'm sure it's the same for you. Even though we know that that's the outcome that we want the parents to do better, we want them to be able to get their children back, but at the same time, we've loved on these kids for 18 months and we've done everything with them. Like, my life revolves around these kids, and so when they leave, it's definitely gonna leave a hole behind, and we're gonna miss them, and it's up to the birth parents at that point if they're going to allow us to keep having a relationship with the children, which is another reason why we think it's important to build relationships with the birth parents. But for me, that's gonna be difficult. Next question. What is your relationship with the biological parents like? I mostly meet with the biological parents because I supervise a lot of visits between them, which you don't have to do, but we sort of volunteered to do it. And we actually, thankfully, have a really, really good relationship with them. And I mean, we've prayed about it. It hasn't always been that way. There's been lots of ups and downs. It's definitely not easy, but I do believe it's in the best interest of the child for the foster parent to sort of like step out of their comfort zone and build that relationship. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's been good. I think our experience with both of them has been positive in most instances. Like you said, I think for the children it's really important to be able to get along with them and talk a lot about their birth parents and be able to have pictures and stuff of the birth parents, just so that they know where they come from and probably who they will end up going back with as well.
The challenges, I feel like, come from the fact that this is just a very emotional situation. You can imagine that. I mean, if you put yourself in their shoes, they're probably ashamed, they miss their children, they want them back. It's sort of intimidating, maybe, that you have their kids and they're worried that you would take their place and the kids would see you as their parents instead of them being their parents. And so I think as foster parents, you just have to remember that and not take it personally when they lash out at you or when they say certain things, because it's not actually anything against you, but it's just the fact that you have their children. They want their children. And so it's an emotional situation for everyone. And it's really easy to get defensive when you're in that situation as the foster parent. You just have to always remember to put yourself in the biological parent's shoes, and that that will definitely like help your relationship if that's something you're trying to do as a foster parent. Next question. Is there anything specific you did to prepare your kids for foster care?
Alana did a great job because she got a whole bunch of foster books from the library and just kind of walked them through what fostering was, that sometimes kids' biological parents are unable to take care of them because they're sorting some things out. And I thought those books were really, really good, and walking the kids through them, I think did a good job of preparing them for it. And then we don't really hide anything from our kids, so like we've been talking through some of the things that are going on with like visits, and that the kids will probably ultimately go back to their birth parents. And so I think between those two things, between preparing them with those books and then just being honest about what's going on, has been a good way for them to process it. And so far, I think they do a really good job of understanding that, and that they're kind of sharing their mommy and daddy with the twins, and that's one way that they're able to love the twins and love the people around them. So
yeah, and I think they understand pretty well for how young they are, and it's really cute. The other day we were walking down the street in our neighborhood, and there was some young kids playing outside, and I guess their parents were inside, and my oldest says, "Mommy, their parents aren't there taking care of them. Should we bring them home and foster them? Should they be our new foster siblings?" And so it's kind of funny because they kind of go out places and they'll say like, "Oh, that kid looks like fun. Can they be our new foster sibling?" or something like that. And so they kind of think it's like a store and you pick foster kids, but it's fun because they enjoy having more kids in the house. And we talk about if our twins leave, what they would want us to do if they want us to continue fostering, just how they feel about it. And they're really open and accepting to new kids.
I think they said yes, right?
They did say yes, yep. And they gave us specifics about, I want a brother who likes Batman, who's the same age as me. It's pretty cute. Okay, final question. Was it hard to attach to your foster children? Do they feel different than your own kids?
So I would say that a lot of it is a decision that you make, and just in my experience in life in general, a lot of the things I do I feel like are just a decision that I make in terms of how I want to interact with my kids. And so the same thing with the twins, I just said I feel like the best way this is going to work is if I just assume in my mind and the way I interact with them that these are kind of my own kids. And so I just had that mindset from the beginning, and so as a result it was not difficult to attach to them. Now the caveat is obviously that we had them from when they were literally just came out of the hospital, so it's not like I had a 2 or 3-year-old that all of a sudden was part of our lives. Like we had little babies, and babies are super cute.
Yeah.
You can hold them and snuggle with them and stuff. So
easy to build a bond with.
Yeah. So we'll have to find out how my mindset works with other kids that we end up fostering.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that changes when we start accepting older kids. Yeah. I think also just to add to that a little bit, there are times when they have like back-to-back visits and we're dealing with lots of things with the bio parents that it's just very clear to us that they're not our children. We can't take them to get their ears pierced without getting permission from the bio parents. We can't take them to get a haircut without getting permission from the bio parents or the foster care agency. There's certain things that only the social worker can sign for that the foster parents can't sign for. And so like they're not in our custody, they're in custody of the state. Obviously that differentiates them from your own children, or even you have to get special permission to like leave the state and take them out on vacation. And so you want to include them as much as you can in all of your family activities and make them not feel any different than your own bio kids. But sometimes the system and the way it works makes that really difficult because they make you like jump through hoops to just do normal things with you. So not that we love them any differently, but it's just sometimes it is clear that they're someone else's kids, because with your own kids you don't have to think twice about, oh, I'm going to take you to Mexico on vacation, I'm going to sign for this medical procedure you have to have. Like as the parent I can make those decisions for my kids, and as a foster parent you can't always do that for your foster kids. There's lots of extra steps you have to go through.
One of the ways I know whether or not a kid is, whether I picture a kid as my own kid, is whether I can pick their nose or whether I've had their poop and pee on me and not be grossed out.
That's true.
And the twins have done all 3 of those things.
Yes, they spit up on us
and
a ton.
I've been okay with it. So I think that's my test to say, do I feel like they're my kids temporarily, obviously, but.
Yeah, as long as they're in our home, they hold the same place in our hearts as our bios do. All right, well, there was all of our questions. If you have any more, please drop them down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button if you found this video helpful. Please subscribe to our channel if you're interested in watching future videos from us, and have an awesome day. So I want you to say the like thing.
No, I'm not going to say the like thing.
Why?
Because I don't like it.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Make sure you give us a like.